Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm Bennett, and I'll be your host for this session. I'm just going to go over the details with you very quickly. So, for today, you are a middle school teacher who is introducing a new instructional unit. There are a few commands for you to keep in mind. The first is to say start simulation when you're ready. If you ever need to pause and maybe gather your thoughts, you can go ahead and say pause simulation. And when you're ready to resume, you can go ahead and just say resume simulation, and it'll pick up right where you left off. Once you're through, you can go ahead and say end simulation. Do you have any questions or concerns?
No, Bennett. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, thank you. I hope you have a fantastic session. I'll go ahead and take my leave. And whenever you see the empty background behind me, you can go ahead and say start simulation. Thank you.
Thank you. Start simulation. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
How are you all doing today?
I think we're doing really well. I had a really big breakfast this morning, and I think it gave me.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's awesome. Are you all ready to learn?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Excellent. So, today we're going to be introducing a new unit on photosynthesis. And I really like that you all mentioned that you had a very big breakfast, which enabled you to get the energy you needed. So, what are some of y'all's favorite foods?
Mm, I really will like anything. Like I really like my mom's lasagna. Like she makes really good lasagna, but it's weird because like I don't really like lasagna anywhere else. Like if I go to a restaurant and like I won't order it, and if I do, it just doesn't taste the same. But honestly, I love pasta. Sweets are always good.
Yummy. That sounds delicious. I love lasagna as well. So, you know how they make lasagna, like how do they make this sauce? What ingredients does your mother use?
I think she's like, I don't know. I think she gets it from like a jar or something.
Oh, okay, great. So in
Isn't
the
there like
jar,
tomatoes in there or something, miss?
yes, that's correct. Very good,
Yeah.
Ethan.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And where do tomatoes come from?
Um, like when you grow them, like in the like outside, like in a garden or something.
Yes, excellent. Very good, Savannah. So I'm glad that you all have the knowledge regarding, where tomatoes come from. So today we're going to be discussing plants, right? So you all had mentioned that we eat in order to obtain energy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and show you all something that I brought from my home to show you all. So what do you all see? What is this?
Uh, it's a plant.
Yes, very good. It's a plant. So I'm going to ask you all a few questions. So let's say, Savannah mentioned that the tomatoes grow in the garden and they grow from plants. So what are a few things that gardeners need to do to ensure that the plants survive?
I mean, well, they need to like make sure that they're like in the sun. Like sunlight's very important.
Excellent, very good, Jasmine.
Um,
Yeah.
isn't I mean water too. I mean, you always have to water plants. I mean, I know that my mom has like some plants, and she always has to make sure that she's watering them, obviously, because then they'll die.
Excellent, very good, Deb. So what else do plants need? Now, what do you all predict would happen if I take this plant and, I leave on vacation and I leave my plant indoors with no sunlight whatsoever? What do you think would happen?
I think I think it'll probably get like it'll lose its color and it'll start looking ugly, and then you probably can't do anything with it afterwards. It'll just like die
Very good. And what's your rationale to say that, Savannah?
because I've seen it before. Like if like with roses and stuff, like they put them in a vase or something, but if you just kind of leave them there and then after like a couple days they start to like the leaves start falling off, and then it starts getting like brown and black, and then they're just not like so lively anymore because there's no water or like anything like
Excellent. Very good response, Savannah. Ethan, what about you?
that. Yeah. What was that?
What do you think would happen if I leave, on vacation and I leave my plants indoors in a room with no sunlight? What do you think would happen?
Um, I don't know. Like, do they need sun? Like, sometimes there's plants like inside like people's houses and there's no sun and they're like okay, right?
Yeah, I really like that you mentioned that. That's really great. Yeah, absolutely. There is diversity in terms of the different plants that we see, but overall, this one particularly needs sun to grow. So, what do you think would happen if I leave this plant indoors with no sunlight?
Then it won't grow anymore and it'll just kind of like flop over.
Yeah, that's true, and I wouldn't want that. I really love my plants. So, Ava,
Yeah.
do you like to garden? What kind of gardening do you like? If you do you have like experience with
No,
gardening? No?
no, I don't really garden. It's kind of boring.
Oh, I see. That's okay. That's completely understandable. Now, what about some of your favorite foods? What are some of your interests?
I mean, I really like, uh, I really like pancakes, like waffles, French toast. Some like my favorite breakfast.
Wonderful. That's great. Actually, the ingredient for waffles and French toast is that, these foods require is wheat, and wheat is, provided by plants. So, that's just a little fun fact in terms of how plants, how farmers work really hard and how they do everything to provide for the plants in order for them to grow. And in turn, these materials get processed, whether that is going to be Jasmine's mom creating that, cooking that delicious lasagna, buying the jar of sauce, the jar of sauce is made with tomatoes and tomatoes come from plants, or whether it be Ava enjoying her delicious pancakes, those pancakes need, you know, the mix is essentially derived from wheat, which is a type of plant. So, I'm going to go ahead and go back, let's take a few steps back and let's kind of like think about what you all had said. So, I believe Jasmine and Deb had mentioned that plants need sunlight and water, respectively. You all mentioned that, which is very good. So, we're actually going to be introducing the concepts of reactants and products to our process of photosynthesis. So, what do y'all think reactants mean? What do y'all think that means?
Like a reaction.
So, would that be something that we have at the beginning of the reaction or towards the end of the reaction?
Towards the end.
Okay, good. Well, good try. Now I'm going to go ahead and introduce another vocabulary word, which are products. So we have reactants and we have products. Which one do you think goes first, the reactants or the products?
Product.
The products. So let's say that you take on the role of a farmer, and you're growing, you're a tomato farmer and you're growing organic tomatoes to sell, right? So these tomatoes are going to be taken. What's going to happen? Like, do we just have like a jar of tomato sauce all of a sudden, or how do you think we get to having a jar of tomato sauce?
Put like all the ingredients together.
Mm-hmm. Very good. We put all of the ingredients together, right? Whether that be like the basil that needs to be grown, whether that be the tomatoes, right? So all of these come together and we end up with our product, which is the tomato sauce. So very similarly with the process of photosynthesis, we have a reactant with which Jasmine and Dev identified as sunlight and water, right? In order for plants to be able to grow, they need sunlight and water, plus another ingredient that we need. So what would happen if we didn't have any plants in the world? Would we be able to survive?
I don't know.
Have you ever seen, online where people do like these events where they plant a lot of trees? Have you all ever seen that in the news?
Oh yeah.
So why do you think people like really emphasize planting a lot of trees?
Um, because I think we like need them to survive.
And why do you think we need them to survive?
Um, just because I think they there was something with kind of maybe like oxygen or something like that. I can't really remember.
Excellent. I'm really glad you mentioned that. You're absolutely right. Plants are very important for our survival because, and going back to the vocabulary words that we introduced, plants produce oxygen. And why do we need oxygen?
So we can like breathe.
Excellent. Very good, Ava. Yes, absolutely. We can only breathe oxygen, right? So when you breathe, you are essentially breathing in oxygen. And do you all know what you breathe out? What do you breathe out? Do y'all know the name of that gas that you breathe out?
I think I remember it being like starts with a C, I think. Um, carbon dioxide.
Yes,
Oh,
excellent
okay, cool.
job.
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. What you breathe out is carbon dioxide. That's absolutely right. So, coming back to what we have learned in terms of the reactants and the products of photosynthesis, because remember, you know how you all had mentioned that the reason why we eat food is to have energy. In the
Mhm.
beginning of the lesson, Dev mentioned that he had a very good, like, big breakfast and he has a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Well, do you all think plants need energy to survive?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, plants also need energy to survive. So, the form of energy that plants need to survive is referred to as glucose. But just like we don't just automatically make glucose, right? We have to make energy from something. And Dev had mentioned that, he ate a big breakfast. So now, his body is going to break down or metabolize that food. And now he's going to have a lot of energy. So it's the very same concept with plants. Plants are also living things just like ourselves. They're living organisms. So plants are in the process of photosynthesis, which is what we're introducing today. Plants are going to take in sunlight, like you mentioned, Jasmine, and water, like you mentioned, Deb. And they're also going to take in carbon dioxide, which Savannah identified is the gas that we breathe out. So, in turn, what do you think the plants are going to produce with those ingredients, if you will, or with that food, if you will?
I don't know, man.
Well, why do you eat breakfast? What does your body need?
Energy.
Excellent. Very good, Ethan. That is correctly identified. That's absolutely right. So the plants are going to take in the carbon dioxide that Savannah identified, the water that Dev identified, and the sunlight that Jasmine identified to create oxygen, which you identified, Ava, and energy, which you identified, Ethan. Very good. So you see how you all have all worked together and you all have identified the different processes, like the different reactants and the different products of the process of photosynthesis. It's
Yeah.
like you all already knew. That's awesome. Y'all put everything together. So that
Oh,
is
thank you.
absolutely, yes, excellent job.
Okay, man. Wow, I learned something new today because I never know that like plants were like that important and like did all that stuff.
Excellent. I'm so glad to see that you all were able to make all of those connections and you were able to take on your experiences and you were able to connect that in the classroom. So to summarize today's discussion, again, our purpose of today's discussion was to be able to, work on the unit. There's going to be many more things that we're going to be learning, but we were able to identify the basics of photosynthesis. So now, to conclude, I would like for you all to turn to your partner, Ava, Jasmine, and Ethan. You all can work together. And I'm going to go ahead and give you all about a minute to identify the main concepts that you all learned today. And then you'll get a chance to share in a little bit. So I'll give you all about a minute. Okay, so that is 1 minute. Great discussions, everyone. So now everybody is going to get the opportunity to share what they learned for today. So we'll start with Savannah.
I think I learned basically that plants are going to need like sunlight and water, and that they're actually more important than we thought they were. Because I thought they were kind of just there to look pretty, but turns out that they actually do a lot and work a lot, even when we don't notice it.
Excellent. Thank you, Savannah. Deb?
I basically learned about them making, well, I guess is what glucose, which is like the sugar. I didn't know that before, and I didn't even know that glucose meant sugar, and so I think that was really interesting.
Thank you. Ava?
I guess just learned that we actually breathe out carbon dioxide, and I didn't even know that that's something that breathed out, which I guess is important for me to know. And then plants give out oxygen.
Very good. Jasmine?
I think I just kind of learned basically that there's a partnership between us and plants. I don't think we could live without one another. Because how Ava said that plants give out oxygen, and then we carbon dioxide. It's a partnership that goes back and forth, and so plants need us and we need them.
Excellent. I really like that you made that connection. That's a very nice way to see it. There is a partnership between ourselves and plants. Very well expressed, Jasmine. Excellent job. And Ethan, you're welcome.
Man, if we're being honest, I didn't know anything about photosynthesis. I didn't know anything about plants. I thought they were there for decoration. So I learned today that they actually need water and sunlight. I didn't think that I told you, I thought there was plants indoors, they didn't need anything. But no, they actually need the sunlight. They make their own food. They help us, and they're little machines, there's stuff going on inside them that you don't even think is going on, because you don't see a plant and think something's going on, but there actually is a lot going on when they're making all this stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Excellent. Very good. Excellent job, Ethan. So I think you all made excellent connections again to your experiences and to your lives, and you all were able to identify how photosynthesis works. So very good, again, very good contributions. And we will continue our unit next class. But other than that, thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions, and I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you, Miss.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
End simulations.